Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm here to throw another shovelful of dirt on top of CNN's grave, because not only are they dead, they are an indicator of the entire cable news business collapsing, crumbling under its own weight. They don't have the kind of ratings they need to survive, and we're going to talk about just how far ahead we saw this coming. And it wasn't just us. Even the mainstream, lamestream media knew they were in big trouble. Here we go. Now, before we get started, here's a real quick reminder. I'm trying to get to 50K. Those are big numbers, and you're helping me get there in an aggressive way. So just do me a small favor right now. It's a small ask. Double check that you're still subscribed to the channel. And whether you're here for your first time or your 1,000th, just make sure you turn the little red button that says subscribe to gray so that you are subscribed, and then hit the bell icon and turn all notifications on. That way you don't miss anything. I do dozens of pieces of content in various forms each and every week, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of them, and you may not want to miss them either. I like to make sure everybody's informed, and with this, let's get informed, because as it says here in an AI overview that I utilized in putting this story together, CNN is facing severe viewership declines, with audience numbers dropping over 40% between 2017 and 2025, and yet they declare expectations that those numbers, well, they're going to go up again. Based on what? I don't know. Digital replacement? Well, we'll get to that in just a moment because it's part of the story. But going all the way back just a little over a year ago, The Hollywood Reporter wrote this article, which is, well, stunningly prescient. The final flicker of cable news as we know it. This is written by Alex Weprin on February 5th of 2025. As I said, just a little over a year ago. And coming into that Valentine's Day, the news wasn't positive. The dinosaur media was dying, but now I would say it's really dead. MSNBC is getting spun out, or I should say at this point, wasn't it spun out? It was, and it wasn't to SpinCo. It was something called Versant, which has had a downward slide if you happen to be a stock owner from the very beginning. CNN is restructuring, and the Murdochs are launching a streamer, which I don't know that I've seen. And if so, it doesn't seem to be doing very well. Their clips on YouTube are viewed a little bit, but not nearly as much as you would expect from something that big. Can any of them survive the slow death of TV news is the question here. And I think the answer is probably no, but we'll move on. At a moment when the news cycle is moving at a breakneck pace, top cable news executives are grappling with the uncomfortable reality. The future of the business has never been more uncertain, especially as viewership continues to decline. So, as one veteran executive argues, it is more likely than not that by the end of President Donald Trump's term, CNN, MSNBC, and yes, even Fox News will have new ownership and power structures that will redefine media from what it has been the last 4 decades. I restructured that sentence because I like it better the way I said it. But look, they go on to talk about what is likely to happen in the future. And what's insanely relevant here to this conversation we're having now is how right they were. Stick around, because this next story is going to blow your mind. CNN projects $600 million in profit this year, down from $1 billion in 2016. Yikes. This is insanity, folks, but I don't think it was unexpected. I think that they know that they're not headed in the right direction. And even if they did have the digital product, which they're going to bring out or try again here in the very near future, it wouldn't have saved this business at all. And yet, there are claims it could. So let's jump in. CNN remains a key financial contributor to Warner Brothers Discovery's linear TV business, and the company expects the news network's revenue to grow top-line revenue over the next 5 years, on the assuming that makes something out of you and me, I think, its direct-consumer streaming business will make up for lost TV dollars. How? People are reticent to watch advertising on, well, everything. And they're getting less and less interested in streamers who force it down their throats. So how are you going to make this work? CNN isn't the cash cow that it used to be. At least they're honest. In 2026, the network is forecasted to adjust its operating profit to around $600 million. They had to give us this filing to the SEC on Well, a Tuesday, just a few weeks ago in January, because they wanted to unload themselves to Netflix, preferably, although it might be Paramount Skydance, which I think still would be better. And more likely now that Ted Sarandos embarrassed himself at a Judiciary Committee just last week. But we'll go back and review that another time. Regardless, a decade ago, ahead of Donald Trump's first selection and term in office as president, CNN was on track to pull in nearly $1 billion in gross profit, according to the Washington Post at the time. Now, Warner Brothers does not break out financials for CNN, but Tuesday, they were forced to. And with that, they disclosed revenue and profit projections for CNN and the rest of its businesses for 2026 through 2030 as part of its proxy statement in support of its sale of Warner Brothers film and TV stations, HBO and HBO Max, to Netflix, which has revised its acquisition terms on an all-cash deal worth $27.75 a share, replacing its previous cash and stock offer, which I'll just say was a desperate move that they're trying to prove that they can do it. The problem is I don't think their investors think they can. And there's an activist investor working in the background, which again, we'll talk about in this coming week, trying to derail this effort because it's not in good service of the current Netflix investors, at least not according to them. And according to me, I'm not going to give you financial or stock advice, but I would say I don't think it's good either. Regardless, per the filing, CNN is expected to generate revenue of $1.8 billion in 2026, rising by $100 million in each of the next 4 years. And then it'll hit $2.2 billion by 2030. And by the way, they were already there, or at least they were already there once, because you have to look that the year 2021, CNN was sitting on $2.2 billion in revenue that had declined to 2023 to just $1.8 billion. That's disappointing. And they expect it to go up rather than down. Somebody's not paying attention over there, and it's not me. So expecting revenue to go up by 2030, hitting $2.2 billion. They're making this assumption predicated on CNN's streaming subscription business and that it'll really take off over the course of the next 4 years. I haven't even seen the launch yet. Have you? So they have an enormous expectation, and whoever ends up in control of the CNN part of this equation has got their work cut out for them. Yet CNN's core revenue is going to decline from 2026 to 2030 by a 4% compound annual growth rate. How are you going to make money from fewer people? It's a big problem. I don't see it coming. But according to the new platform revenue, it's going to cover that $600 million gap that was all of a sudden created by their complete collapse. Last fall, which I didn't even know existed, they launched All Access, a streaming service priced at $6.99 a month. Raise your hand or let me know in the comments section below if you've seen that product or used it, because I haven't. I didn't even know it existed. And the most recent financial info for CNN was disclosed in that recent defamation trial, which gave us the information about CNN's revenue in 2023 of $1.8 billion, down from $2.2 billion in 2021. So they had to disclose what their losses were and why did all those people leave. It's because it's a dying business. It's a dying channel. And I think news overall, as we've seen it, the dinosaur media, is kind of lost touch with the people who used to watch it or used to trust it. And they look at it in different ways now, including YouTube channels like yours truly, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, The Quartering, and the list goes on, including Asmongold, who leads the league in brilliance right now as far as his analysis and evaluation. I wish that I could, follow in his footsteps, and that's what you're here to help me do, so Thank you. On that note, in January 20 proxy filing, Warner Brothers Discovery said the board's analysis of selected public companies on a sum of the parts basis indicated an approximate implied equity value reference range for Discovery Global of $2.41 to $3.77 per share. That's a pipe dream. There's no way. Discovery Global, the spinoff, is going to be, well, a hot mess. And I don't suspect, much like I don't expect Versant to recover, I can't imagine the split being something that they can recover from, especially if the money and references are all gone. Because as a group of not just channels, but content makers, they are far more valuable together than broken apart. And this isn't Wall Street, the movie back in the 80s. Is it? And here's the forecast for Discovery Global furnished by Warner Brothers Discovery, showing the steady decline on top and bottom lines through 2030. And again, it's a pipe dream. CNN, they expect growth, but it's not going to save them. Other U.S. networks, they expect to continue to decline, just like they have. And international networks are going to go down too. I don't think they're being realistic. How about you? Let me know in the comments section below. And since we're getting to the part of the conversation that you're welcome to comment on, in fact, you can comment on the entire conversation in the comments section below, as I said a moment ago, the merger agreement that they need to have in place very soon, well, they don't have any guarantees. And whether or not there's an insurance policy built in on the Netflix side or not, there's no guarantee that after the transition takes place that anybody's going to make any money. And that's another bad sign for investors. They can point to either direction, whether it be Netflix or Paramount, as a bad plan, but instead they favor one over the other. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's only for political reasons. They want to keep the mouthpieces operating, and they don't want what they perceive is happening at CBS News to happen to the beloved propaganda machine of CNN. So I ask you, do you think that CNN has a chance of recovering? Or how about all of mainstream media news? Do you think that Ted Sarandos is the likely guy to bring it back, or do you think it's more like Larry Ellison and his kid? Would CNN be viable on its own, or is it required to be part of a package so as not to just dissolve upon the sand because of the lack of financial support? Your answers are as good as mine, so again, let me know in the comments section below. If you didn't already hit the thumbs up button, please do so. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself. Take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just not watching CNN.